Hello, I'm Simon Kerins. The world of football shed a tear on Saturday the 11th of July when it was announced that big Jack Charlton had passed away at the age of 85. A gentle giant off the field, but an uncompromising colossus on it, Jack partnered captain Bobby Moore in central defence as England won their first, and to date only, World Cup back in 1966. In the domestic game, he was that rarest of rarities, a one-club man, making a record 762 appearances for Leeds United between 1952-3 and 1972-3. However, to anyone under 40, he is almost certainly best known as the inspirational manager of the Republic of Ireland team between 1986 and 1996. If ever a team was built in the image of its manager, more than compensating for any technical shortcomings with grit, determination, passion, and an ability to consistently punch above its weight, it was this one. Born in the Northumberland mining town of Ashington, Jack was the eldest of four brothers, including Bobby, a Manchester United legend who was, of course, also a key member of that England World Cup winning team. Finances were tight at home, and for a while the four Charlton brothers even had to share the same bed. It is interesting to note that their father, who was a miner, had no interest whatsoever in football. However, their mother Sissy more than made up for this. She loved the beautiful game and actually coached the local school team. Prior to throwing himself into football, the young Jack followed in his father's footsteps and briefly worked down the pits. He could also have been a policeman, but it so happened that his interview clashed with his trial game for Leeds. There was to be no looking back. While being part of England's World Cup winning side was arguably his greatest achievement as a player, it was far from Jack's only honour. In his 20 years with Leeds, he won a second division title, the League Championship itself, an FA Cup, a League Cup, 2 Intercity Fairs Cups, and a Charity Shield. He was the Football Writers Association Player of the Year in 1967 and inducted into the English Football Hall of Fame in 2005. In his first season as a manager, Jack was to guide Middlesbrough to the second division title. There followed a spell at Sheffield Wednesday, a second stint at Middlesbrough, this time as a caretaker, before he took charge at boyhood club Newcastle. When he left St James's Park just over a year later, in the summer of 1985, few would have predicted the exciting new chapter that lay just around the corner with the Republic of Ireland. Under Jack's management, the Irish side reached the 1988 European Championship finals, ironically beating England in their first group game. 2 years later, in their first World Cup finals, they reached the last 8 of Italia 90. They also made it out of the group stages in America 4 years later. By then, Jack Charlton, a long-time lover of Ireland and a regular visitor to the country on fishing trips, was well established as an adopted national hero. In 1996, he was awarded honorary Irish citizenship to go with his OBE from 1974. At Cork Airport, there is actually a life-size statue of him, clad in fishing attire, triumphantly holding aloft a salmon. For what it's worth, and especially in his later years, I for one have always felt that Charlton, with his rugged complexion and that mischievous twinkle in his eye, looked more Irish than the dapper Englishman of his younger days. Of course, at this time, our sympathies and good wishes go out primarily to Jack's family, not least his widow Pat, and their 3 children, John, Deborah and Peter. However, given the affection in which he was, and always will be held, it would be very wrong not to feel for the town of Ashington. Leeds United, already reeling from the recent losses of Trevor Cherry and Norman Hunter, and his other clubs. The same, of course, applies to English and Irish football as a whole. Perhaps influenced by his formative years, Jack Charlton was always a champion of the underdog, whether it was going the extra mile for customers in his clothes shops in Leeds, he also ran the club shop at Elland Road, or calling up previously unheralded players to his teams, not least the Irish side. He clearly had that unique ability to make people in his midst feel 10 feet tall. Those people, wherever they may be, in England, Ireland or elsewhere, have wonderful, priceless memories to sustain them at this sad time and beyond. Rest in peace, Big Jack.